Welcome back to the Top 5 Sports NBA podcast. We are here on episode 10, a little bit of a milestone. Chucking these bad boys out. It's good to get 10 episode laid down. I'm back again, joined by my co-host, Eric. My boy, what's good? How you been?
It's good, man. Episode 10, back. Working a late night tonight. Getting the
right.
Yeah, man. Right. We have to get it in after that Suns. Just barrage on the Nuggets. So
we were really hoping. Yeah, we were hoping that, I guess we got a little bit of a story from this game since it wasn't close again, but we were hoping for a better game. We probably could have started recording earlier, but it is what it is. But happy to get through 10, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to stick it out. A lot of people start, maybe do a few, fizzle out, but we've been fairly consistent through this season, which is a good thing. And hoops are only going to get more and more intriguing and easier to talk about. It's less to cover and more we get more in depth on these playoffs, as we will in this episode. So
no, facts.
So every single week for our first 9 episodes, since we are Chicago based, we love our Chicago Bulls through thick and thin. We will start with the Bulls, but there's honestly absolutely no real news to mention from the Bulls. I will say I was driving in my neighborhood the other day. And I texted Eric. This is funny because like you think somebody knows you, but you think somebody knows you, but I guess not. But I'm driving, so I live like near West Side, Illinois Medical District. People who live in Chicago will get where that area is, and I'm turning down Taylor off of Western and see this large individual with a patch in his hair. I'm like, that's Patrick Williams. And I'm like, is that? I'm like, yeah, that's Patrick Williams. So I roll my window down. I'm like, yo, Pat, what's good, my boy? He's like, got a little scared because, you roll down the windows in Chicago. And not always. He's like, yo, what's good, bro? I made, and I went off on my way. So it was good to see my boy, Pat. I'm pretty sure there's a barbershop, around the corner for me that cuts a few of the Bulls players. I know Zach LaVine comes down there, so I'm pretty sure he kind of just willed it down to him.
Right.
That's all I got for for Bulls news.
Talking about haircuts, bro.
I saw my boy Pat, and Kobe got a haircut too recently, which is, I guess,
I saw that.
Man, the most exciting news to come out of the Bulls. But back on topic and actual basketball being played, we're gonna introduce a segment similar to a lot of things that I've wrote in the past, similar to like conversations people have all the time. This is called Top 5 Sports. Kind of the reasoning behind that was people are just infatuated with ranking shit. Like that's what we do. Top 5 movies, top 5 rap artists, like top 5 Drake albums. We rank, we love it. That's why I named it this. So I figure it's time to like bring this type of segment into the pod. And so what we're gonna do for this first Top 5 Sports segment is from the first round. Me and Eric are gonna give y'all who we think were the best performers. So the 5 best players from the first round of these playoffs. I've talked enough. Eric, go ahead, take it away. Who you got?
Yeah, it's been I'll preface by saying it's been an interesting playoffs, man. Like just overall, like a lot of people are putting their stamp on the game that I don't think a lot of people saw nationally, and we'll get into that. But yeah, man, a lot of guys are really, really hooping, for sure. So top 5, I got KD, Jokic, who just won MVP yesterday. Shout out to him. Got it over my boy Steph, but it is very deserving for him based on what he did. I got Book, I got Dame, and I'm actually gonna make a flip from what I originally had. I'm gonna put Trae Young in there. I'm gonna put Trae Young. I had Ja. For everyone else, Quincy and I are talking about this. I'm gonna talk about Ja because he did some crazy things, broke a lot of records as a young player in his first playoffs. But I definitely need to put Trae in there based on what Trae's doing. So I definitely want to hear. I know we got some of the same players, but definitely want to hear what you got going before we jump into things and why our lists are the way they are.
So you did KD, Jokic, Book, Dame, and Trae, right?
Yep.
The only difference we have, so we both have Jokic, we both have Dame, we both have Book.
Yep.
Now where we differ is that I took Kawhi and Luka over Trey and KD. And just to quickly touch, I like that you replaced Trey with Ja. Not that I can necessarily pick a player at this point. I probably get the slight edge to Trey overall, but I think the fact that he won the series and clearly was a more important cog to winning. I like that you made that switch, but you gotta let me know, how do you not have Luka in the top 5? Like I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking about, at the very least, like KD, Book, and Trey, like these series weren't even relatively that close. And obviously Luka lost, but I'm thinking like the amount that he had to put on his back, like the numbers he put up every single game with, flimsy Kristaps, deciding whether or not he wants to show up every once in a while. Like what is your reasoning for leaving out Luka in lieu of Trey and KD?
Yeah, bro, you just said it. Like the series that those other teams played in weren't close. Like I mean,
okay, that's the flip side. Okay,
you got to think about the perspective. Like they also had a chance to close it out at home, versus the Clippers, up 3-2, lost, and then lost on the road by 20. So I mean, he had gaudy numbers. I'm not taking anything away from him. I love Luka's game. He had to do a ton. He definitely needs some more help. But if you talk about like what KD's doing right now, like, just pull it up. Obviously, firstborn for me, and I'm a little biased. 7 playoff games right now. 7 playoff games, 32, 7, 2 blocks a game, 55 from the floor, 50 from 3, 51 from the free throw line. I mean, bro, come on now.
50, they've lost 90. Oh,
and they've lost one game. They've lost one game in the playoffs so far. Now, like, if you talk about like Trey, okay, like you talk about Trey Young, like what's Trey been on, bro? Like, okay, dude, Trey goes on the road, beats the historic Knicks. Obviously, they are overachieved this year. Coach Tibbs, Thibodeau, shout out to Tibbs. Got his first head coaching job with the Bulls. He won Coach of the Year again. Definitely the type of guy who can do more with less. They dismantled the Knicks, bro. Everyone thought that was going to be the series that was like one of the closer ones, and it was not at all. And Trey dismantled them. He averaged. He's scored 20 or more in his first 6 playoff games, bro. 20 or more, bro. He's the only other person to do that in NBA history is Lou Alcindor. We can't even call him Kareem because Lou
right.
Lou Alcindor, bro. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for y'all who ain't putting 2 and 2 together. He's the only other person that scored 20 or more in 6 playoff games. Nobody else has done that, man. And then you go to Book, like, I mean, Book just dismantled the reigning champs. Sure, there was injuries. AD was hurt. Brown was hurt. Things go into it. But, I mean, it's not like Book just barely skated by. Like, they went out and took that.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about a straight Kobe disciple, and if you watch Book's game, he's definitely modeled his game after one of his favorite players, Kobe. A lot of mid-post ups, contested 2s, shoots the 3 really well, jab steps. Bro, in the house that we'll say Kobe built because it is Staples Center, right? Book in a closeout game, 35 points, bro, in a closeout game, 22 points in the first quarter on 8 for 9, 6 for 6 from 3, 33 in the first half. At halftime, they were up by 25, I want to say. The score was 40. The Lakers had 41 and Book had 33. So, like, to me, like, yeah, I mean, it's no brainer. Like, you can look at those gaudy numbers, but, like, those 3 dudes right now are balling, bro. Balling.
It's just tough. Because I mean, there was a game, I want to say it was game 2 or 3. I think Book only had 18. I think it was game 2. And I hear Trey more than I hear Book. Obviously, the way Book finished the series was, out of this world. And I think in the same sense, the way we've seen KD the last 2 games with no Harden has kind of elevated him. This was a first round thing. We're still operating under, it being a first round thing. So, and that's why it's tough for me. But I think even more of an argument than Luka for me was Kawhi. And it just comes down to, like, you talk about the splits. If it wasn't for this past game, he would be shooting over 60% from the field, right? Right now, I think he's at 59%. Let me double check that, so I'm not just capping on this podcast. Yeah, 59.5%. And in his last game, game one against the Jazz, shout out Donovan Mitchell. He's a killer too. But the last game against the Jazz was his first game. I think he shot under 50%. He was like 9 for 19. So, or probably even worse than that. So, we're getting into these modes with Kawhi where I think a little bit because of his, his demeanor and him not being the most marketable guy, and kind of even with the fallout last year. Like, I feel like people watch the Clippers and what we're watching is Pat Bev going to do something crazy? Is Paul George going to be ass? And we're not really looking at like, wow, we haven't one of the most like complete two-way players who has really perfected his game offensively. Like he has no weakness.
Oh yeah,
I think
for sure.
To go 7 games, especially in a manner in which he lost the first 2 games at home, he was a steady for his game in, game out. I think Paul, a little bit off top, I think Paul played better than what he has in the past, but it was Kawhi game in, game out. And this was the tightest series in the first round. So I think, like, given the pressure, given what he had to perform on, like, I got to have Kawhi in my top 5. And I can maybe have a conversation about Luka. I don't know if you want to swap him out for Book or KD on my list, but I just feel like I'm not here to try to convince you, but I just can't have Kawhi. Yeah. I just can't have Kawhi off of it. I can give you Luka maybe, but I just can't have Kawhi. And then just to kind of roll through the guys we agreed on, Dame's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. Like, it's tough. No-brainer. I think, I mean, we'll get into. I think we're gonna get into Dame a little bit more later. Like, in terms of like what is going on, but like that's a no-brainer. Like,
and Jokic as well.
Dame was doing things in this playoffs that we have not seen in a long time. Seen.
And that double overtime game, we'll talk about it more, I'm sure.
We'll get more into it, but like it's just and then the Joker, man, like you missing your starting backcourt and you dismantle a team that's been in the playoffs like the last 8 years.
Right.
With their core. Just
right, and disgusting. That's supposed to be their strength, right? The CJ and Dame backcourt, that's supposed to be where you get exposed. And yeah, man, I gained so much respect for that man, Joker. It's not that I didn't have it before, but just really close and watching how he operates, and especially when you kind of compare it to the Jokers that we saw. I remember when we first saw we first saw that picture of Joker some years back when it looked like he hadn't been eating for weeks, and he was like real slim down and like
super skinny. Yeah,
like I love that was something that we're also seeing that on the court, man. And we talked about it last pod, but when you just think about the spot the NBA's in with their talent, and I'm just gonna list this off a little bit off top. I'm just gonna list this off of the 10 guys right now, top 10 in scoring. So this is playoff scoring. You got Luka at 22. You got Donovan, who hasn't played a lot of games, but his game 1 performance was incredible. 24 years old. You got your boy JT, your son, at 23. Jokic just turned 26. Ja 21. Like Trae Young, number 11, 22. Devin Booker 24. Like the list of young talent that we have.
Yeah, it goes on and on.
We're so blessed. Like we gonna have just killers for a long time to come.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. It's exciting to see what the young guys are doing. They're playing out of body experiences. Like even guys like, we talked about him in the last pod, but like DeAndre Ayton, like who is like giving people fits, right, bro? Like 21, 22 years old. It's just the league is in good hands, man. And these guys are showing up on the big stage, It's exciting to see.
Yeah, it is. And this revelation, I think, of this new era is almost perfectly juxtaposed to what we saw in round 1 with if you know me, is my favorite basketball player of all time, and that's LeBron James. I guess you can't say this is the first time in a while when you've seen him go out kind of sad because I guess his first year in LA wasn't the most special, injuries, all that stuff. But man, I remember I texted you, and it was weird because if if people don't know our dynamic, right? It's always been me big on LeBron, Eric big Kobe guy. But short story, the reason why I was kind of like drawn and reached out to Eric to begin with, because there wasn't a lot of people that claimed to be Kobe fans, but weren't like out in left field with every take and just hyperboles and just like the awful arguments. Like, so I peeped it, like he identified as a Kobe fan. That sounds weird even saying, but I peeped that. And I also peeped the takes. The takes were never just wild. And he also respected Brian, which I believe like it's like a lost art. People just want to hate both they can't respect. So now we're coming back to the point where I'm texting him. I'm like, man, I got a few players over LeBron right now. And coming from me, like this isn't a light statement. I don't think I've ever been able to say this.
Right.
I don't know when. I even tweeted about it. And you were kind of like, hold your horses on it.
No.
So like, relax. How much grace? So like, I gotta ask, how much grace are you giving him because of the injury? How much grace are you giving him?
A ton,
the year, AD going down. Go talk about it, because
I mean, a ton, dude. Like, at the end of the day, LeBron James is still LeBron James, and like people like need to make sure they don't get that like misconstrued with anything. Like when it's time to perform and it's time to hoop and he's at his best, like, okay, I'm just gonna put it in perspective for you, bro. Like I'm gonna just tell this to you and let's go. Before LeBron's injury, okay? So he got injured, obviously. I'm gonna tell you what he was averaging for the season. Okay, he was averaging 25, 8, and 8 at almost 36 years old, about to turn 37. That's what he's averaging, bro. He's not slowing down by any means. He shot over 51% from the field. It's one of his best field goal percentage of his career. Like, he's not slowing down. Like, that injury just derailed his team. For perspective, man, this is why, like, my thing is, like, if I have LeBron in the playoff series and he is healthy, I'm not betting against him. Everyone was like, oh, LeBron's slowing down. I'm like, bro, he's coming off an injury. Like, what do you expect? He's sluggish. Like, I know y'all ain't going that series and think he would be fine. And then when AD went down, like, that was it. Like, it still would have been a different series if AD didn't get hurt. You could say that about Chris Paul because of the shoulder injury, which looks like it's gone away because Chris Paul's playing well now. But at the same perspective, man, it's tough to look at LeBron and be like, oh, this is, he's falling off. He was just injured, man. Like, perfect example is like, you got to look at, for me, I'm definitely big, this not only just basketball players, but just people's mannerisms and how they conduct themselves. And then you measure that up against what you see them doing like currently, and something's off, right? LeBron, for as long as we've known him, as long as social media era has been around, every year he gets off social media. What does he call it? Zero Dark 32? Mm-hmm. Lame as hell. I don't understand why he does it. But that's what he calls it. He gets on there, I'm going Zero Dark 32, playing like Zero Dark 30, the movie. And he's not on social media, bro, at all. Like, he just locks in on the playoffs. Bro, he was tweeting about other games. He was tweeting about Space Jam. Mm-hmm. He was like, bro, he's had so many other things like in the works right now. Like, the playoffs were not really on his mind when he realized the reality of them winning was not a big deal. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, think about it, bro. 71 games, dude. That's the difference between when they last played that last game in the bubble and when the season started. 71 games. That is literally 2 months and 11 days. So think about it. Like, that's even shorter because they have training camp. Like, so, man, you think you 36, you about 35, 36 years old. Like, bro, you're not trying to do all that shit, man. Like, bro, that man is trying to go. That man is trying to go get that WB check for his Space Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Spring Hill ENT, and we're going to run it back next season.
I will say this though, because it's a lot of times with these conversations, it's like a what have you done for me lately? And if I'm under the assumption that LeBron played this series not 100%, which was fairly obvious, and that he will get to better form, then I'm here with you. But if I'm only speaking on what my eyes saw this playoffs and the performances, we just talked about top 5 guys. I saw a lot of guys perform in which I felt like if they were playing if you took LeBron off the Lakers and you inserted Luka or Kawhi or Jokic, man, I might work as much because of his position, but part of me feels like you might have a closer series. And again, like I could tip my hat to it being the injuries, but it's just a weird thing to see. And I guess the answer to like this kind of how hurt was he will be answered next season. And something you mentioned earlier about how he played earlier in the season, I think there was also a level of defensive buy-in that people were kind of noticing for LeBron too, which was weird for this stage of his career. That was kind of big about his whole early season MVP hype.
Locked in, bro.
He was locked in, and you watch LeBron so much, like you can tell when he's really like that, putting his head down, finishing as well. Because sometimes, especially the first couple of games, you could tell like maybe it's just the spring or not being comfortable to where like he's getting to his spots, he's muscling through, but he doesn't have like the touch or whatever it is to finish. So trust, like I want to give him a bit of the doubt for real, but it's just what have you done for me lately? Argument. I gotta take a few guys. Like I know even you like you would rather have KD. 2021 playoff KD or 2021 LeBron playoff.
Yeah, I mean, because Brian's hurt. Like, I don't know if I'm taking I don't know if I'm taking KD. I don't know if I'm taking KD over a healthy Brian. Like,
okay,
but like that's the thing. It's like, and if I would take him, it's just because of my bias. You know what I mean? But if I remove my bias, like I'm just looking at it from a pure basketball standpoint. I'm like, I need this player, and like you give them both the same teams, I'm probably gonna take LeBron. Now, if you want to insert my bias where I'm being irrational, which happens a lot, like I'm going to grab my son, obviously. Can't birth somebody and go against him. You know what I mean? But, yeah, man. Honestly, bro, like. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, bro. You just got to you got to chill on your mans, bro. It's just people they really they saw that 2-7 matchup versus the Suns. Didn't realize what. Yeah, bro. Muggs didn't realize what the Suns were. I'm like, bro, they had the second best record in the NBA. Yeah. This is a really good team, like a phenomenal team. They have great wing defenders. Like they shoot the ball well. Like scores. Like they're a deep team. Monty Williams gives them a lot of confidence, bro. Yep. Shout out to Monty. Like, so look at campaign, bro. People didn't even think he's gonna have a career. Like how well he's playing. So it was the perfect storm. They did what they need to do, and like people were seeing that like the Suns are a really great team, even by the way that they're steamrolling the Nuggets right now. But to say like LeBron like he may not be the LeBron is, still, but I mean, during the regular season he was still dunking the shit out of people on the regular. So he caught a lob off the backboard during the playoffs.
So you still saw it. I did see a clip, but he was still looking eye level with the rim. Yeah. So obviously. I'm gonna say this, and I know we're on the same page, but for me, in no way, shape, or form does this change or alter his legacy, where he ranks all time, all that mumbo jumbo that people talk about way too much. But I just think people get too enamored with the linear path of success and failure, and they model everything off of Jordan. And if it doesn't happen like that, you're less than. So I'm sure we both agree on that like LeBron's still LeBron, and he didn't move up or down in any way, shape, or form. And I'm sure it's gonna be tough now. And the Lakers got a lot of moves to think about with not a lot of cap space to do it. But they'll be back in the mix next season for sure. So
I mean, it's gonna be back in the mix. They'll mean just like the Warriors will be back in the mix, like when they're fully healthy. Like I fully expect the Lakers to make moves this offseason. It's like, Dennis Schroeder's not, he's a restricted free agent. Who's to say they re-sign him after the playoffs that he had? Like probably should have signed that $80 million deal that they gave him. I don't see Drummond. I don't see Drummond coming back just based on how Drummond played. So they could obviously move Marc Gasol. That frees up some space, can move Kuzma. So the Lakers are going to do some stuff and like fully expect Rich Paul to be moving behind the scenes on behalf of Brian and AD to get them what they need. So
need some shooters in that joint.
This is actually a perfect segue. Not saying it's gonna happen, but if Dame Lillard, who we're going to talk about, shows up in LA in the Lakers jersey, I'm not going to be shocked. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I just but I just know the way that the NBA works. Like, I'm not going to be shocked if that happens.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's
so great
perfect because
segue.
now we want to talk about our boy Dame's legacy, man. End of an era, so to speak, out in Portland, bro.
I think so. I think nobody will really be mad at him. I think we've removed so far from like, you think about all the shit that LeBron got, right? Like, that's damn near mild in comparison to like what we've seen with KD and then what we've seen with James Harden. So I think, like, big picture wise, we won't give Dame that much flack. I mean, I'm sure some people will be like, hey, you talked about so and so for teaming up. Who was it? Paul George, who he called out when he left to he left. Was it to the Thunder or was that to the Clippers? I can't remember which one.
He just said overall that like Paul George was running from the grind because he wouldn't get it done,
like,
or just wouldn't, which is true. But like,
it's true, but
for like Dame though, to like your point, man, like for Dame, bro, is that he's done everything that he can. Like when you score 55 points in a playoff game on the road, you hit 2 buzzer beaters to send the game to like consecutive overtimes, and your teammates just let you down possession after possession, and you literally doing that shit by yourself. Like, no one can fault you. At that point, people were like, bro, you have to do this for yourself. It was kind of like when KG was in Minnesota. It was like,
right,
dude, if you want to win, you have to leave. They're not giving you the pieces that you need. They're not going to deliver on what you need. You have to leave.
Yeah.
And I can't think off the top of my head, so correct me out, come back. But I don't know if it was the owner or if it was the GM, someone within the Blazers brass and front office literally is looking for a coaching candidate to come in, take that team, make them better defensively, which is tough when you have 2 guards who are not the best defensively, and Dame and CJ. And they want them to take that roster and they want them to make them better with that roster, and they're basically not going to make any roster changes. And if you Dame Lillard, you hear that shit, you're like, all right, well, the fuck am I doing here?
Unless Zach Collins turns into Hakeem Olajuwon. Like,
yeah, bro, seriously.
They ain't got nothing going for them on that roster. They really don't.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think personally, and I was talking to some of my friends about this a lot, I think you can play basketball with 2 small guards, right? We've saw it with, Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry on the Raptors. Now, I will say Kyle Lowry and Fred are some dogs defensively, and, like, they do not get bullied. Like, they're above average defenders, like, very gritty. Right. But I think you can make it work, but you can't have small guards who don't play good or not good at defense and then slow ass bigs. That's a recipe for disaster. You have to have something to be able to cover people up. And that's just not the case, bro. So, I mean, Dame Lillard, like, his legacy and like what he's done in Portland is cemented. Like, if he leaves, as Zero should be in the Raptors within 2 hours, not even 24. Not like I wanted. Oh, we're retiring this ASAP because he's done everything, man.
Yeah.
Like, and he's done everything. They lost LaMarcus Aldridge. They lost Nick Batum, Wes Matthews, all those guys. Everyone thought it was over with, and Dame still trucking along. He's been in the playoffs every year in his career, bro. So
crazy.
I don't know, man.
And that game 5, I don't think I've ever witnessed a shooting performance like that. Quite literally, he set the NBA record, right? So for most playoff games. And most threes in the game, playoff game. I'm thinking back to Game 6 Clay when he had the 11 threes against the Thunder. And, Clay is a guy that will, like, you'll be face guarding him. He'll find a way to catch the ball and rise up and still knock a 3 down in your face. The way Dame was doing off the dribble, bro. And, like, I'm just watching the game. I'm sure everybody had the same feeling. It's just like,
video game shit, bro.
This can't just keep going in. Like, sliders all the way up, bro. Like I'm just like, yo, like, I think it was
playing on
like
straight rookie.
It was like the half spin he hit. I don't know if that was against like Rivers or Morris, but like, I'm like, you just got to be so locked in. And I made a tweet, and this kind of come for your boy a little bit, but I think it's been a damn near confirmed thing that when it comes to Steph and Dame, like, you know, you can pick who you want to pick. I hate comparing them, but there's no doubt that when it comes to that final shot, that boy Dame is different. I think he is the guy I want to shoot. And like in the league in the NBA right now, there's one guy I want with the ball in his hands is him. Maybe KD second, maybe KD first because he can get it from anywhere. But man, like
Dame is definitely the type of person that's like one of the most clutch performers, you know, in NBA history. I think he's established himself as that, man.
Yeah.
And just any way you want it, man, off the dribble from 25 feet, 30 feet, doesn't matter. Like, as soon as he steps over half, he's in range. But yeah, man, it's just he's done a lot, dude. And him and CJ have really grown together in Portland. They've really built something special, but I can't see it happening there, man. Like, Carmelo Anthony can't be his third best player offensively at this point. Right. Like, and that's not a knock on Melo because Melo's hooping, bro. But it's just like at this point in his career, Melo should be the one coming in, getting the same buckets he's getting, but they should have somebody else that is doing that, locking down. Like, Melo had to do so much more than you would expect somebody at 37 at this point in career. Like, if Melo was coming in and like getting buckets and doing what he was doing, like, boom, like that Blazers team, if it was a good team, like, that takes it crazy. Like, imagine like a healthy Warriors team, and you take the Melo that we have and put them on there. Like, that's a totally different dynamic. Like, y'all asking Melo to do all this shit. It's like, bro, like that tells you all the issues there. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
crazy.
So I think as both avid members of the NBA community, damn, you have our blessings, man. Go ring chase, man. Don't let the pride get in the way, man. Go, like, you proven more than enough, man. You sent dudes home. You made some of the biggest clutch shots. Like you got out the mud. You went to Weber State, is that his college? Like yeah. Damn, bro. Ain't no, like, you did not cheat the game, bro.
No shame, man. No shame.
And even then, given the state of the NBA right now and the talent, like, even so, say you go to another team, like, it's no guarantee that that's just a given championship. You still got to work for that shit, which I think is always a misconception. People think 3 talented dudes just equals good basketball team. So, dang, man, please, I want to see you in the final series, man. I want to see you in the finals, and you deserve it.
Yeah,
so.
We need that. Like, the moment as the series is going on, I like tweeted at Dame. I'm like, bro, it's the videos like, man, he got to treat you better. You don't deserve that. Like,
right.
Yeah. Then I treated the Shiggy video, and I'm like, talking to the cat that was in the floral shop. I'm gonna get you out of there. Like, I'm telling Dame, bro, we gonna have to do something because your ass can't stay in Portland no more, bro.
Can't do it.
You do not deserve this shit. You've been going through the grind for 9 years, bro. You 30 years old. Like, send some motherfucking help for you, man. But that also leads into like shaking shit up, like with the Celtics, bro, which I think is like low key one of the crazier moves I've seen in like a long time. Like,
Has it ever happened?
Dude? So, little context, man. Celtics obviously lose to the Nets 4-1. As expected. I mean, no Jaylen Brown, uphill battle. The Nets are the Nets. But so Danny Ainge, within a matter of like 24 hours, Danny Ainge resigned or got fired. I don't know which one it was. Brad Stevens took his job.
Yes.
So Brad Stevens moved from the bench, from the head coach, to now Danny Ainge's job with the president of basketball operations. And now he is looking for a head coach, all within 24 hours. And also, Kemba Walker is likely going to be traded now because Danny Ainge tried to trade him for Drew Holiday. It didn't sit well for him, and that's why Kemba allegedly was not playing the best, because he was basically like, fuck the Celtics.
Yeah, I traded too, though.
Anyways, man. Yeah, I
mean, Drew wouldn't have made them.
I would too. Yeah, exactly. But... So, I mean, it's just like one of those things talking about like an organization that's been doing things right for, a long time and just literally just shook the shit. Like, man, this isn't working anymore.
It's so crazy. And to be completely honest, I don't know if I see Tatum and Jaylen Brown winning a championship together in Boston. I don't think it's gonna happen. A lot of that is proofs in the pudding. You see what's happening right now. Obviously, those guys have a lot of career left, but I don't know how much these guys are going to want to stay in Boston. And you think about some of the things that are coming around with Boston as a town, the kind of racial tension that comes along with it, juxtaposed to the amount of groundwork Jaylen Brown has done and continues to do, as well as Jason Tatum. I mean, I think Jaylen Brown was in Atlanta during the pandemic protesting, like in a mix, and
it was.
So I wonder like where his heart is. I wonder, and I'm not completely in tune with their contract situation. I might have to look that up, but I just don't see them winning there for whatever reason. It doesn't feel right. The Brad Stevens move is weird. I don't know how to take it. I don't know if this is the organization saying we think very highly of you, Brad. Like we still want you around, but you kind of lost your touch in the locker room with these guys, and we still want you to kind of give me your basketball savant to this organization. And from the Danny Ainge aspect, I mean, I used to hear stories about how he would tell guys straight up, like you can get traded at any second, like any moment, like just keeping a buck with them as far as like, my goal is to create a roster that's, made to win. And that might mean that you're not going to be here for a while. And he didn't really hold that back. And I wonder if that hurt him in the long run. But one thing you can say is that like the amount of talent that has rolled through Boston the last 5 years is ridiculous. And for them to, something to say underperform, I really think they perform damn near at the level that they should, given their age, and that's why it's a little perplexing. It's just a different situation. I don't think there's precedence for this. Has there ever been a coach to step down from being a coach and becoming the head of basketball? I don't think that's ever happened. nor do I see it happening again.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that was the craziest thing that I've seen in a long time. But yeah, man, I don't know if Jaylen Brown and JT will win in Boston, but I mean, they got 3 years to figure it out. Like Tatum's Supermax extension kicks in this summer, so that'll be his first year of that. That 5-year deal he signed, he's got a player option after year 4. Jaylen Brown still got 3 years left.
They're both okay.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I think, man, like Jaylen Brown's 23, Tatum has just turned 23. Like, bro, they're very young. They got a lot of time. I think they just need to build around and figure out and get a coach that really can work with them to get the right pieces that they need. And because Boston has pieces, bro, but they
definitely take that back.
Pieces.
I definitely take that back. They let me hold off on that because if they got the 2024.
Yeah, I mean they got some time, man. Like to figure this out. I think the biggest thing they need to address is like they need to address that point guard situation, bro. Like Kemba is great, but I think one of the things we saw in the Miami Heat series last year, which we'll get into the Bubble Boys later. Shout out to them and Jimmy Butler. So we'll talk. But with them, man, that like being said, it's just there was that being exposed, man, and everyone is hunting Kemba, right? And it's just kind of tough, and like it's tough when you don't have a guy who can guard, and like the only other option is that like your offense has to be so prolific that you're making the other team's guard, because it's whether people agree with it or not, like. In some cases, the best defense is prolific offense. Yep. And if you can make another team like have to guard you and tire them out, they're not going to have legs to do stuff offensively. Right. So it's tough, bro. Like, it's tough. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why we didn't see Kawhi, like, guard Luka until I was like, shit hit the fan. I was like, oh, shit. Like,
right.
Serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. No, it's and what I've kind of like realized is the two-way point guard that can actually produce offensively is arguably one of the rarest things you come by. Most guys are prolific offensively, are below average defensively, if not average. Yep. But your Drew Holidays, your Toronto backcourt, your Chris Pauls, who can do both on both, like actual production offensively. Because you'll see the flip as well. You see some guys that are really good, hard-nosed defenders, but they're not really threatening offensively, and that can be also, kind of called out, in big playoff series. So that's really a rare skill set that you don't see a lot, which is why, I can't be mad at Danny Ainge for trying to get Drew, and which is why, people thought the Bucks would be doing better. We'll get into that with Drew, but yeah, that's just another note about how much of a rarity that is in the league today.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just two-way players at the point guard position, like you said, are very scarce, man.
Yeah,
and it's tough. But like you said, Drew, man, we just doing some phenomenal segues today.
It just works.
I don't know if he planned this, but this is flowing. But yeah, speaking of Drew, man, we definitely got to talk about, he's on the Bucks playing the Nets right now. I'm actually going to Game 4, so hopefully that's a good game.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so we'll see. Obviously, I'll be decked out in Brooklyn gear, or maybe I'll wear split jerseys for both my sons. Maybe it's gonna say like I don't know. Maybe it's say
Durant. I can't even.
The Kumpo. Nah. The rare Kumpo. I don't know what I'm gonna put on it yet. We'll
Durant Kumpo. That sounds about Durant Kumpo. That sounds good.
Yeah. So we'll maybe I'll have a split jersey like Son Curry. I don't know. But yeah, man, the Nets and Suns are just hooping right now, bro. We talked about what KD's doing. Kyrie, third eye fully open, got the sage flowing, just cooking, bro. Like James Harden, first round was playing really well. Obviously, he re-aggravated that hamstring, so he's gonna be out for a little bit, but playing well. Blake Griffin just fooled everybody.
Oh my god!
I mean, first of all, if you listen to this pod, you talk Blake Griffin, who had like almost a 50-inch vertical, could not dunk anymore. I'm sorry. Respectfully, you're an idiot. Respectfully. Like that is like, I gotta put that out there because that's the crazy shit. I've heard people like, oh, Blake Griffin can't dunk anymore. I'm like, you sound stupid, dude. Like he's fucking 6'10". Of course he can still dunk.
Right. He'll be dunking when he's like 50 probably.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, man, Nets are playing out of their mind right now. And to the point, man, where like the Bucks just look completely dismantled, and also like Mike Budenholzer, Coach Bud, is probably going to be on the hot seat and lose his job if they get swept. Like, I mean, there's not a lot that they're doing, not a lot of changes they're making. Giannis is still getting exposed. I've told people this many times. Giannis, KD, and Tatum are my three favorite players in the league at the moment. And I've always told people, even though I have my tiers and I basically kind of take over one graduates, I was like, the difference is KD can guard Giannis. Giannis cannot guard KD, and like it's being shown. And it's just tough, man.
People fell for that little regular season jazz. People fell for it. People fell for it. It reminds me almost of, people fall for regular season shit all the time. I remember when the Bulls used to beat the Heat with D Rose and the boys all the time in the regular season just to get clapped when it mattered most. But if when we talked about the Clippers and the Mavs in the first round, we called it over. A lot of people called it over after the first two games when the Mavs won. Now, granted, the Nets are home and the Suns are home, so it's a little different. But as we just be real with the NBA, community, we have a tendency to overreact. Is this a situation though where it's overreacting?
No, not at all.
I can't say it is
because I literally said if my thing with the Clippers was like, I thought that series was likely over because I thought Dallas would at least get one. But I also said, like, if the Clippers get 2 games to even it up, there's no way they're losing that series. Like, I didn't even think that. I was like, I thought Dallas, like, literally had to win at least one of those games. And, like, it showed because I'm just like, you got to take the best players in the series every time. And they had 2 to 3 best players in that.
Right.
But this is not. It's just the way that they dismantle. Like, if you talk about the Nets, when they pulled their starters, they were up by 49 points in a fucking playoff game.
Yeah.
Against a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals, 2019. Got a little bit of different core. A lot of the same guys are still there. Got gotten better on paper than when they were in the Eastern Conference Finals,
Yeah.
and they lost by 49 points, bro.
Yeah.
They just swept the reigning Eastern Conference Finals champion, the Bubble Boys down in Miami, and just lost by 49.
It's so shocking. I don't think like nobody respected this though. Like I think a lot of people were like,
"Oh, I did. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You ain't expected to be like this though."
Oh, 100% I did.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No 49 points.
I didn't expect it to be 49 points, but I fully expected the Nets to expose the Bucks. I think the Bucks, like, their schemes are not the best. They're very juvenile. They remind me of things that you see with like grade school basketball. They put Giannis at the top. They put Giannis at the top of the key, let him go 1-on-5. They put him in pick and rolls. He can't shoot. He can't really manipulate a pick and roll that well. So the defense just loads up on him. Like, if you have a smart team, if you have Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni, Jacques Vaughn, Amari Stoudemire, all on the sideline, mixed in with KD, Kyrie, Blake Griffin, Kevin Durant, Bruce Brown, all these guys, like, that's a recipe for disaster, bro. Like, you have to do more things. Like, that's what I tell people about the regular season versus like playoffs. Because what people need to understand is like regular season NBA basketball is just entertainment. That's what it is. It's like entertainment up and down. It's basically a glorified pickup game, except when people have something to prove, right? When you get in the playoffs and people start scheming, like that's when you see the shit that you see in college. Because now people are making adjustments. You see they're changing defensive coverages. They're using different plays. Like in the regular season, you probably run like 2, 3, 4 sets. That's what you run. Like you probably get, a look off the first option. In the playoffs, bro, you got to go through your progressions. Like I might run a play and I need to get to my fourth option to play to get a good shot because that's just taken away and they know what we're doing. Right? You see Rajon Rondo calling out the Dallas's plays, bro, in last series, right? Like you got to get through that, man. Like you see, like what they're talking about, like with the Suns tonight blowing out Denver, man. Like the Suns got everything that they wanted, man. And like it's tough. So like back to Brooklyn, like I'm not gonna say I expect them to win by 49, but did I expect them to like easily beat the Bucks? Yeah, like the Bucks have talent, but the Bucks are not a good team, and they're not coached well to do that. Yeah. So it's tough.
Nah, I mean I'm really on the same page with you. Everything you said, and it's funny how you mentioned the regular season versus the playoffs. There's games where it's almost obvious that like a team is holding back on, especially scheme wise, right? There's games I watch where I'm like, why are we playing this pick and roll the exact same way, knowing damn well we're gonna get the same result? Like what's the reasoning? A lot of times we're gonna see them round 2, round 1, whatever it might be. When we're not
gonna show you what we're gonna do.
Exactly, and that's from both sides of the ball. And like you see adjustments made all the time. That's like one of the beauties of the NBA is because 99% of the time the best teams win the series because you have multiple chances to show up as opposed to like NFL it's a little bit more random. But yeah, man, the Bucks are gonna have to look at themselves really hard in the mirror, and it sucks because again, like the moves they made. Virtually everybody felt like this was a step in the right direction, but you got a Hardenless Brooklyn Nets team. They are doing it to you, and
it's just people need to realize, and I think it gets overlooked how great of a player like Kevin Durant is, and how great of a player Kyrie Irving is. Like those are two phenomenal dudes, and the Nets, man, coaching staff, they put people in a position to be successful, right? You talk about like the 2019 draft, 2018 with Aiden and Luke and all of them got drafted. 2018, yeah, they've been in the league for 3 years.
Trae Young boys.
So like you Trae Young, Jaren Jackson, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, I'm probably forgetting some more people, but like the list goes on. Michael Porter Jr. is in that draft. Right, a lot of big name guys, man. Grayson Allen, phenomenal, solid player for the Grizzlies, bro. The Nets got Bruce Brown from the fucking Pistons, and that man, bro, what? Like the dude literally has become one of the best cutters in the NBA.
Yeah.
He's 6'4", 6'5", basically playing the power forward position, and they just put him in position to be successful, bro. And it's kind of like that's how you get the most out of your players. And the Bucks just don't do that. And until they get a coach that is going to find the way to really use Giannis, I think we're going to continue to see this happening. Like right now, people are treating Giannis like a present day, four in today's NBA, when really he needs to be treated like the same way Orlando Shaq will be treated in 2021. Like he needs to be the center. He needs to be on post-ups. You need to put 5 people around him. You need to, and like where he gets out is in transition, like Russell Westbrook.
Right.
But other than that, he needs to be the screener. He needs to be in the dunker spot. Like his game is not. It's not his game, bro. So
right, and that's why I think the Bucks started to slowly realize that. I think the issue we're running into now is that I don't know. It's game 2. At one point, I'm checking in on the box score, and Chris Middleton's 0 for 8. So I think. Because I think Bud's a good coach, right? I just think you come to a point where it's like Bucks fans, coaching staff, organizations come to okay, well, we're coming to. I think anybody. He's from the pop tree. I just feel like anybody that comes from pop is a real deal. But that's also not true. But he is a number 2, and that's a fact. And the issue with the Bucks is they have 2 other number 2s, if not number 3s, Middleton and Drew Holiday. Though that's a number 2 or a number 3 on a good team. They don't have a number 1, man. They just don't have somebody that can like truly get you buckets. And if your best player isn't a guy that like it's 60 seconds left, you need a bucket, and he can get it no matter what, no matter how. A la Dame, a la Steph, KD, LeBron, like all these guys that can get buckets. Anthony Davis, Luka, like the list goes on. Then I think it becomes more of a, because you got Chris Middleton, who game by game he might not be the guy. So as far as like the consistency of like what you contribute, it's all over the place. You see it with Paul George a little bit, but when you're the guy and you're in those moments, the expectation is there. It's kind of more seamless to step up in those moments. And Giannis he just isn't it. And I mean, what do the Bucks do, man?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what they do. And it's tough because if the Nets aren't the Nets, they might be in the finals this year. Who knows? So it's one of those things. Don't blow it up just because it's. But I think at the very least, like you said earlier, if this ends in 4 or 5, even 6 maybe, Bud is out of there. So
they just need a coaching change, man.
Yeah.
As a father, I have a saying. I just most people say BMF, they think for blowing money fast. For me, that stands Bud's motherfucking fault, because that's whose fault it is. I'm blaming that motherfucker every time. Bro, we talked about the Nets and the Suns. Like, look at the Suns, man. We talked about it a little bit. Like, look how the way Monty Williams is using guys. Look at the confidence Jay Crowder has to shoot. Unlike his bubble boys, who we're gonna talk about in a second, down in Miami, Jay Crowder's still playing at a high level. Like, Cameron Payne was out of the league, bro. Out of the league until Monty Williams and James Jones hit him up last year. It's like, yo, you want to hoop in the bubble? Came down, played well, got a contract, and he's playing phenomenal for Chris Paul to back up. So it's just you see that these coaches use things, and it's just crazy.
Look, the leading scorer. So the Suns tonight won by 25 points, and Devin Booker was the high man with 18 points. So that says that he's getting production from multiple dudes. Mikal Bridges 16, Ayton 15, CP 17. Like when you're winning games like this, like it gets real scary.
Ooh.
It gets real scary. So
tough, man. Like,
and I will say this, like I Chris Paul to me he can make a coach's job a lot easier. So not taking away from Monty, but we are talking about point guard who arguably has been the most valuable player in the NBA outside of LeBron in the last decade. But I digress. Hopefully these series make a turn. what I think is a Charles Barkley who always says it's not a series until somebody wins a game on the road. Hopefully these two teams win a game and this can turn, but I'm with you as well. I don't think it will. I think the writing's on the wall when it comes down to these matchups. And
facts.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, man. It's I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I definitely think Denver will come out firing. I think both teams actually, Bucks and Denver will come out. But you just can't understate. Yeah, you can't understate how much Brooklyn and the Suns have been doing right now. They're just at a different level, playing at a different height, and it's just something that we haven't seen, from either of these organizations in a long time. So it's crazy to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got our last topic for the night.
Yeah, and
this slander topic. I can't wait. I've been waiting to talk about this.
Yeah, and we fake touched on this last week in regards to the Heat, but this is basically just a reality of we've had a real good look at some of these guys in the league that simply put could hoop when the stands are empty, and now when it's game time, the most important time, which is the NBA playoffs with actually full stands. They're just not the same people, and we're naming this segment the Bubble Boys, and we got quite the roster here of guys we could start listing off that showed up out down there in Atlanta, but now they're nowhere to be found.
Throw the whole Heat's roster on there, bro. Like,
yeah, the whole literally.
We talked about this and we alluded like, yo, can you do it? Can you do it women after the game? Like jokingly, but like we really needed to talk about it because obviously, it was still a chance that some of these teams turn things around. And it was just like, dude, just not the case. And some of these guys just did not look well in the playoffs. For example, like Jimmy Butler. Jimmy was a Chicago guy, whatever. I just gotta put it out there. When you get outscored by Bryn Forbes, this is no disrespect to Bryn Forbes, a great shooter, great player, he's made a great career out of Michigan State. But when you get outscored by an undrafted player who really did not start getting time in the series until Dante DiVincenzo, the starting shooting guard, went down and was like basically out for the playoffs. And he has more points than you in an entire series, and he just started playing. Like Jimmy had 56 points in the entire series, bro. Yeah. Dame scored 55 in one fucking game. Yeah. Like Jimmy, what the hell are you doing? You making big face coffee and all that, but like you just not getting it done, bro. And it's just like it's gotta call it the Bubble Boys, man, because it's like that bubble had the bubble had people thinking that some of these guys were much different. I'm like, nah, I know who you really are.
Had me,
and I'm not gonna allow.
Jimmy had me fooled.
I'm not going. I was like, I'm not gonna allow this to happen, man. Like, you just think about it, bro. Like, even if you look at like a guy like AD, and we take like injuries and whatnot. Now, AD is AD, but like, there's still people looking at us like, yo, can his body sustain? Like maybe he only made it through a playoff series because there was that big gap in the season. So he was basically his body was fresh. Like it's like these are things that people like think about. Can you last a full season? Like what it actually looks like, even though it was a quick turnaround. You know what I mean? And people can make all the excuses like there was like 71 games and this and that. And, I can tell you like if LeBron was fully healthy, like I expect LeBron to be LeBron. Like I didn't.
Right.
No
matter where.
Yeah, man. Some dudes, bro.
Is there somebody else you wanted to mention though?
Man, just throw the whole Heat's roster on there, bro.
Anybody in particular?
Nah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm honest, man. My adopted son, man, Tyler Hero, bro. He was doing some things down in the bubble. Really put people on notice. Right. Didn't play the best this season. I mean, I can't really. I don't know really what that was excuse.
Up to. But I'll never forget the graphic. I saw. Ugh. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but this was probably in lieu of that big game he had.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was I think it was in the finals. In lieu of the big game he had, they were just like best rookie of this class, Tyler Hero, Zion Williamson, John Morant. Like, bro,
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
that
too.
shit pisses me off. And the replies to, like, well, Zion, he's good and explosive, but what is he gonna be? John Morant, like, they're both gonna get injured. And I'm like, bro, like,
Yeah, man.
bro.
Well,
And I still
yeah.
have faith in Tyler Hero. And on the
Oh,
flip end,
100%.
what sucks for the Heat though is like they were turning down trades and opportunities to acquire guys like James Harden and Kyle Lowry because they're looking like, oh no,
Hello.
we need to keep Tyler Hero, man. Like if we could be looking at a completely different East. Like if you could be looking at Harden in Miami possibly if they're willing to give up Hero. And
yeah,
how does that look?
I just gotta say, like, I'm not gonna tell anyone how to do their job, but when you have one of the, in my opinion, top 5 greatest scorers ever and the best isolation scorer in NBA history, in my opinion, and he's also one of the best passers, you do not want to give up a rookie. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, a rookie or a second-year player, young guy, let's say it, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's a no-brainer, bro.
No brainer.
You move that person in a heartbeat, dude. Like,
especially like there's 2 sides to that too. For one, we're in this stage of modern science when it comes to an athlete's body where the time clock on primes has moved back. I want to say at least 2-3 years. Like we just talked about.
Oh yeah,
how amazing Chris Paul's been performing, and Harden has a very deceptive game to him as well. That he's not really a high flyer, and it's like that's a part of it where like you're getting a good 4 more years at least of really elite basketball from Harden, and then the other end is like this gets talked about with like draft picks sometimes where it's like a superstar now will always be better than a projected draft player, but like the idea that I guess like Miami had to be drinking some of the bubble Kool-Aid as well because I kind of see it, but the idea that Tyler Hero can ever even get to Harden is like it's like come on now, like ship him. Duncan can go, like but like it is what it is. And now they got a super team in Brooklyn who didn't even need him to begin with because they would have been just as good. But it is what it is.
Yeah, man. The bubble, man. Like I think the biggest takeaway, from the bubble is that it really shows the difference between guys who can perform at a high level night in and night out when the lights are the brightest. And people talk about like the bright lights and like what that does, but like there are a lot of great players in the NBA that if you put them in a pickup game and there's nobody around, they will bust some of your favorite players' ass consistently. Mm-hmm. I'm not just saying it. I've seen it myself.
There's players out of the league.
Yeah.
In a pickup. Mm-hmm.
They will go bust your favorite players' ass. You put those same players in a situation where they have to work within the offense, within schemes, within time of possession, within fans yelling. Dude, that's a game changer. Mm-hmm. Like, you look at Giannis, bro. Love my middle son dearly. I mean, he's struggling to shoot free throws right now, and everyone knows it. And he's always struggled at the line. And now it's even heightened because the Nets were putting the shot. They're doing the countdown, and like, even though he doesn't see it, he knows about it. Like, that's in his brain. He got the shot clock violation. Free throw line violation for going over 10 seconds. And I think it was game 1 or game 2 versus the Heat. Like, I mean, this should and this is a 2-time MVP. So like, if he's going through shit like this and in his brain, like, what do you think somebody else, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th man off the bench is going through, or somebody who's not a superstar? So it's just, when you see guys perform, I'd say when you see guys performing at a high level, man, whether you mess with them or not, tip your hat because that shit is not easy, dude.
Now, do you think that can be like learned or taught, or do you think certain guys you just have it or you don't when it comes down to like stepping up in those moments and like, yeah.
Because to step up in those moments and to really shine the brightest, and you hit the shot that we were talking about Dame Lillard and like the shots he was hitting into the first overtime, and then he did the half spin, step back. He was below the 3-point line. He stepped back all the way to the 3-point line on the step back and got behind the line, fade away three, boom, send it to the second overtime. Like you have to have an ultra confidence in your game and yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to have so much confidence that it's almost on the line of like you're definitely arrogant, like because you have to be that arrogant to have that level of confidence to perform at that level. But it's also almost psychotic because most people don't think that way. Most people's brains don't think that like, oh, I can get the impossible done, Yeah. And that's how some of these guys think, man. Like they go out there and they think shit and was like, oh yeah, there's not anybody messing with me. I may see double and triple teams, but I'm still gonna get 50. Mm-hmm. You know how crazy that sounds saying that? I'm going to get 3 people are going to guard me the majority of the game, but I'm still going to get 50 points. Like, that's fucking nuts, dude. And that's how some of these dudes think, man. And that's why, jokes aside about the bubble, it's like, man, give these dudes credits, man. Like, you hear people talk about, oh, LeBron doesn't make big shots and all that. It's like, that's bullshit. That dude's made 97 game-winning or game-tying shots with the clock within 5 seconds in his career. Talk about Harden saying he's a folder. Like, he may not have some of the best games, but like that motherfucker performs, bro. Like you talk about like Chris Paul, like don't need me to get into it, but people talk about, oh, Chris Paul's never been out of the second round before he went to Houston and all this other shit. And it's like, look at the way these teams are constructed. Look at what these dudes are doing. Like they are making plays. It's not really on them, man. It's just these false narratives that get pushed. And then you see, some people go down the bubbles, oh, these people do this person's doing that. And then they come back the next season with fans, and it's like, oh, shit, these people I was knocking on are the ones still performing right now. And these other people are not. So tip your hat, man.
That's a real good perspective. Not a perspective that a lot of people have or can appreciate, but real nonetheless.
Yeah, man.
All right, my boy. Real quick, shout out Jokic, MVP. Gobert, shout out him. I don't think I had no issues with any of the awards. Did you? Like, nah. They are pretty standard.
Actually, nah, I'm lying. I did have an issue. Sorry. We'll be quick, guys, because I know it's late and we got to wrap up. I don't know when y'all going to listen to this, but we're recording late. But, man, Rudy Gobert, bro, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, I'm not hating, bro. I'm just telling you, if you telling me he has more Defensive Player of the Year's worth than Hakeem Olajuwon, I just have to say respectfully, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I know basketball. Like, I just have to be real, bro. Like, that's just Tower. That's no. That's that's Baguette Biyombo, bro. That's who he is, bro. This back Biyombo. It's on Charlotte. That's Baguette Biyombo, bro. Like, but I don't care. Like, some people talk about the money. I love to see a black man get paid. I love that. But is he a Defensive Player of the Year 3 times? Hell no. 1, sure. But 3? Come on, bro.
You would get a Ben?
Bro, Ben Simmons is out here guarding point guards one night and guarding centers the next night.
His skill set is way more unique and valuable, in my opinion. Like, rim protection is cool, but niggas are shooting from 35 feet. What you protecting from out there?
My point exactly. Like, what do you like? Yeah, it's a difference when you alter shots, but like, also there are many times you saw the season that like people were literally figuring out like, oh, this is how you pick on Rudy. What would happen is people would throw the ball down at guys and guys would tip, or they would just, attack Rudy head on, or he would weak side blocking and all that. Now people realize that if you attack Rudy straight on and it's head on, 1-on-1, or like you go downhill, he's not that good. He's not scaring anybody. Yeah. Like, so, but yeah, man, everything else, man, shout out to my boy Jordan Clarkson on my fantasy team, 6th man of the year. I knew it was going to be him. Obviously, I would like to D Rose with it, but Clarkson just balled out 19 points a game off the bench. Yep. Crazy. Everything else, man, I like, bro. Last one, I mean, Tibbs definitely deserved Coach of the Year, but I want to see Monty Williams win it just because That Suns team is, man, it's a great
I
team.
think Chris Paul, we talk about the bubble. I think there's two things that hurt him. One was how good the Suns were at the end of the bubble last year, and then two is the Chris Paul effect. It's like, you're doing great,
exactly.
but you have point guard and Thompson.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who does
Reggie
he have?
Bullock.
Right.
Yeah. No disrespect to Reggie, but like
no disrespect.
This is just what it is. You know,
the rosters are the talent is different.
Yeah. So talent is different, and Tibbs really got those guys to believe in themselves and buy in. So
shit, nobody else would.
Exactly, that's my thing, man. So
shout out Tibbs, man. Shout out Tibbs.
Man. But,
also, D Rose, get out of New York. Nothing's happening there. D Rose, get out of there. Dame, get out of there. That's all I got.
Man. And man, think about your star player, man. I don't all these organizations shit.
Yeah, come on.
Get your check and get your rings if you can.
Yeah. All right, bro.
Robert.
All right, Brody. I appreciate you. This late night.
As always, man. As always, working the night shift.
Let me see if I can get this trimmed up before I go to bed. But I'll definitely get it out tomorrow.
All right, for sure. All right, bro. I'm gonna holler at you.
All right, bro. Yep.
All right.